So here's a question for you. Do we shape our circumstances, or do our circumstances shape us?
It's probably the oldest question in the book, isn't it?
It really is. And we all have those days. I mean, maybe you're having one right now where it just feels like the world is happening to you.
Oh, absolutely. You feel like a leaf in the wind. You're just reacting to everything.
Exactly. Reacting to a bad boss, the economy, just the general chaos of life. But today, we're diving into a text that flips that entire narrative on its head.
It really does. It argues, and this is pretty radical, that there's an absolute unbreakable connection between what he calls the within and the without.
We're talking about James Allen's 1904 classic, Out from the Heart.
And this is such a special text. I mean, most people know Allen for As a Man Thinketh. That's the heavy hitter, right?
The one that's on all the business book lists.
Exactly. But Out from the Heart is different. If As a Man Thinketh is the theory, the what, then this book is the manual. It's the how-to.
It's basically the sequel that gives you the operating instructions.
That's a perfect way to put it. The mechanics of self-discipline and habit formation.
Which is what we need, right? It's one thing to know that thoughts become things, but it's another thing entirely to know how to, actually clean up the factory where the thoughts are made. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack Allen's specific instructions. We're going to look at his views on self-discipline, on how habits are actually formed, and this core, and I'll say it, slightly terrifying idea that as the heart, so is the life.
Terrifying is the right word, I think, if you're not ready for it. Because Allen starts with a framework that it removes all the wiggle room. He calls it the fourfold order of the universe.
Okay, let's break that down immediately. The fourfold order, it sounds a bit mystical.
It does, but it's actually incredibly practical. It's a cause and effect chain. He uses a nature analogy.
Classic Allen.
Very classic Allen. He says there is the seed, the tree, the blossom, and finally the fruit.
Seed, tree, blossom, fruit. Okay, walk us through what these actually mean in our day-to-day lives.
So the seed, that's your thought. That's the origin. It's invisible, it's tiny, but it contains all the DNA of what's to come.
Got it. Seed is thought.
That seed then grows into the tree, which represents your deeds, your actions.
So you think a thought, and that thought eventually pushes you to take an action. That makes sense.
Then that action flowers into the blossom, and this is the immediate opportunity or the circumstances that come from your actions.
Okay.
And finally, you get the fruit, and the fruit is your character and your ultimate destiny.
So let's just apply this for a second. If I'm looking at my life and the fruit is bitter, like say I'm in a career I hate, or my relationships are always full of drama,
Right.
Allen is saying I can't blame the weather or the soil.
You can't blame the soil. You can't blame the rain. You can't blame the other trees in the orchard. If the fruit is bitter, you have to trace it all the way back.
Back to the seed.
Back to the original thought that started the whole chain reaction.
Wow. That's heavy. It's extreme ownership. But I guess it's also kind of freeing. Well, if I don't like the fruit, I don't have to waste my energy fighting the fruit. I need to plant a different seed.
Precisely. But he warns that this isn't a quick fix. You can't just, think positive for 5 minutes and expect a different harvest by noon.
Right.
He uses this other metaphor of a fountain. He says, as the fountain from the hidden spring, so flows forth a man's life from the secret recesses of his heart.
The secret recesses. That phrase. But it implies there's stuff in there we might not even be aware of.
Or stuff we're deliberately trying to hide. And this brings us to what he calls the Citadel. He sees the heart, the mind, the will, your emotions, as this fortress.
The Citadel.
Yeah. And he drops a line here that it hits hard. He says, nothing remains unrevealed.
That was the line that gave me chills. Nothing remains unrevealed. Because we all think we're pretty good actors, don't we?
We think we can compartmentalize, yeah.
I can have this secret inner life where I'm, resentful or jealous, but I'll put on a professional face at work and assume it doesn't leak out.
And Allen argues that's physically and spiritually impossible. It's that transparency of life. He lists all these conditions: sorrow, happiness, suffering, love, hate, and he places them solely within the heart.
So they're not things that just happen to you.
No, they're mental conditions you are actively cultivating. If you're harboring hatred in that secret spring, it will color the water of the fountain. It's going to show up somewhere.
In your tone of voice, your body language.
Your patience levels, the little decisions you make when you think no one's watching, it all comes out. That's why he says you are the solitary guard of his citadel of life.
So you're standing at the drawbridge of your own mind.
Yes. And you have to check the ID of every thought and feeling that tries to get in, and he asks, are you being a diligent guard? Or are you, asleep at your post?
That's such a powerful image because it turns it into a job, an active process. You don't just have a mind, you have to manage it.
Exactly.
But let's get into the mechanics of how we guard it, because Alan talks a lot about habits, and I think for most people, habits feel like chains.
They feel like something you're a victim of, for sure.
The endless scrolling, the snacking, the procrastination.
Well, he addresses that feeling of being trapped. He says the bonds of habit, impotence, even sin are self-made. They exist only in the mind.
Wait, pause on that. Self-made. If I'm addicted to sugar, that feels pretty physical. How is that only in the mind?
This is a game changer, this distinction he makes. He says temptation does not exist in the outer object.
Okay, unpack that. So the donut on the plate is not the temptation.
The donut is just flour and sugar. It's an inanimate object. It has no power. It can't jump into your mouth. The temptation, Alan says, is in the lust of the mind for that object.
So the temptation is the internal craving, the desire, not the external thing.
Exactly. And here's why that is so important. If you just remove the object,
Yeah.
you throw out all the junk food,
Yeah.
but you haven't purified the mind of the desire for
You
it.
haven't solved it.
You just removed the opportunity. You're just white-knuckling it until the next donut appears.
Or you just download the app again in 3 days.
Right. The lust is still active in the Citadel. And this is where he lays down this universal law. All growth and life is from within outward. All decay and death is from without inward.
From without inward. That sounds like letting the world dictate who you are.
That's exactly what it is. It's the path of decay. And there's a huge practical benefit to flipping this around, which he calls a conservation of energy.
Conservation of energy, like in physics.
Sort of. Think about how much energy we waste struggling against other people, or
Okay.
traffic, or trying to fix the world so we could feel better on the inside.
Oh, massive amounts. It's exhausting.
Alan says if you just stop that struggle and you turn all that wasted energy towards self-regeneration, toward fixing your own mind, you save all that personal power. You stop leaking energy.
So instead of fighting the world, you just clean the lens you're looking through it with.
You clean the lens.
Okay, speaking of cleaning, I want to move to the first steps. Because Alan doesn't just stay philosophical. He gives us a curriculum.
He does. And some of this might feel a little prickly to a modern listener. He starts with the body, specifically your diet and your tongue.
Yeah, he gets right into it. He says, a change of heart is the needful thing. So changing your diet without changing your heart is basically pointless.
But he's not talking about keto or paleo. He doesn't care about your macros. He's talking about the intent behind the eating.
Right. He defines gluttony as eating for enjoyment rather than sustenance. Oof.
That's a hard pill to swallow in our foodie culture, isn't it?
We plan vacations around eating for enjoyment. Is he saying we can't enjoy our food?
I think it's more about mastery, he's asking. Who is in charge here? If you are eating solely for the pleasure hit, for that sensory dopamine rush, then your stomach is the master, not you.
It's about autonomy. If I can't say no to a cookie, how can I say no to bigger things?
Exactly. And then he moves to the tongue. He says an ill-regulated tongue is just a sign of an ill-regulated mind.
It's that transparency thing again.
It is. If your speech is gossipy or harsh or just uncontrolled, it's proof that your mind is messy. The speech is the overflow of the heart.
He actually gives a checklist for what he calls a poised life. It's very specific. First on the list, early rising.
And he clarifies, not just dragging yourself out of bed. He says it has to become a delight.
Next up, frugality and simplicity.
Which is about not being a slave to material things.
Then temperance and abstinence.
Control over the appetites. Proof the guard is at the gate.
And finally, one I think a lot of us struggle with, doing tasks vigorously and without delay. No procrastination.
And this brings us to a hard truth he drops on the reader. He warns against people who want truth without labor or salation without effort.
Yeah, he's very strict about this.
He basically asks, why would we expect the highest excellence to come without any work?
It makes sense. You don't manifest becoming a concert pianist. You have to practice the scales for years. But we think we can get a great character without putting in the reps.
We want the life hack. And Alan says there is no hack for character. You have to hammer it out. And that leads perfectly into his section on duty.
Which is a word we kind of hate now, right? We see duty as this boring thing we have to escape so we can go find ourselves.
Right. I don't want to do this spreadsheet. I want to go meditate in Bali.
Exactly.
But Alan flips that completely. He says neglecting your duty, whether it's your chores or your job, is the same as neglecting virtue itself.
So the spiritual path isn't just on a mountaintop, it's doing the dishes.
It's doing the dishes accurately and faithfully. He says spiritual progress is found in doing your specific duty perfectly. If you can't be faithful in the small things, you're not ready for the big things.
He also says this removes subtle selfishness. How does doing my taxes remove selfishness?
Think about it. When you do a task because it needs to be done, not for applause or because you enjoy it, you're stepping outside your ego.
You're serving this situation, not yourself.
Right. You stop asking, what's in it for me? And you start asking, what does this moment require?
It's like a workout for the ego.
It is. And he gives another instruction here that's so hard for most of us. Non-interference.
Yes. Concentrate on one's own duty and not interfere with the duty of another.
How often do we neglect our own work to go critique how someone else is doing theirs? It's a total distraction from the real work.
It's that conservation of energy again. If I'm busy micromanaging my neighbor, I'm not guarding my own citadel, the drawbridge is down.
Exactly. Stay in your house. Clean your house.
Okay, so this brings us to maybe his most famous concept, which he frames as the looking glass.
Yes. Environment is but his looking glass.
That's just a massive statement. The world is a mirror.
Just a mirror.
Yeah.
It means the outer world is just reflecting your inner state. If you look in a mirror and see dirt on your face, you don't scrub the mirror.
You wash your face. But we spend our whole lives scrubbing the mirror. We change the job, change the city, thinking that will fix the reflection.
And Alan is saying, no. If you look at your life, your relationships, your bank account, your circumstances, and you see chaos or lack, the cause is within. The environment is just showing you what you're projecting.
So if a listener right now is feeling doubt or suffering, his advice is to stop looking for the cause out there.
He says to search within until you find the cause. And his assumption, and this can be controversial, is that the cause is always inside.
It's really the ultimate question of victimhood versus creation. He's saying there are no victims, only creators who don't realize what they're creating.
And the final poem in the book sums this all up. There's that line.
He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass.
That's the one. It connects right back to that hidden spring. You think your secret resentments are safe inside your head, but he says no, they come to pass, they materialize.
They become the argument, the missed opportunity, the bad day.
But the flip side is also true. If those secret thoughts are of truth and love,
then your life materializes that way too.
the whole book ends with this call to choice. You have the power. Every thought is a brick. You're either building a temple of truth and love or a hovel of lies and hate.
So let's just zoom out. What does this mean for someone listening today who feels overwhelmed?
It means that feeling of being overwhelmed by the outside world is actually a signal. It's a dashboard light telling you to stop looking out and start looking in.
You take back control by letting go of what you can't control.
Exactly. You can't stop the rain, but you can change the landscape of your mind so the rain nourishes you instead of drowning you.
It's a message of ultimate responsibility, but also ultimate hope. If you built the prison, you have the key.
Precisely. The key is in those secret recesses of the heart.
So I want to leave you, our listener, with one final thought from all this. If your environment is truly just a mirror, if your job, your relationships, your whole life are all just reflecting you back to you, take a look around today. What is that reflection telling you about the secret guest you are harboring in your heart? Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure. Keep guarding that citadel.
See you next time.